future with the greatest empires, the strongest communities, and the happiest families will always be worth having. That's why the bold and the fearless understand that recreating something better takes courage and strength. So together, let's start shaping a better future today.
I want to see the future. I want to build the future. I want it to be big, bold, brave. To go further, faster. To make the impossible possible. I want to be where the generations of today build the solutions of tomorrow. Investing in cleaner, greener, kinder, smarter innovation. Harnessing the sun, the sea, and the wind, turning the elements to power. On a grand scale. I want to go where innovation saves lives, rebuilds lives, creates life. I want a future built on the shoulders of giants, on a heritage of ideas. It's going to need the right environment. High impact, high value investment. World-class skills. A global vision. I've seen the future. And it's here.
London City, hello.
More women taking over the world.
Wonderful.
A better future is built by the brave, envisioned by brilliant minds, born from the passions of thousands strong. One that isn't without risk, but protected from it. Safe from all the worries and secure for what's to come. Because a better future with the greatest empires, the strongest communities, and the happiest families will always be worth having. That's why the bold and the fearless understand that recreating something better takes courage and strength. So together, let's start shaping a better future today. A better
I want to see the future. I want to build the future. I want it to be big, bold, brave. To go further, faster. To make the impossible possible. I want to be where the generations of today build the solutions of tomorrow. Investing in cleaner, greener, kinder, smarter innovation. Harnessing the sun, the sea, and the wind, turning the elements to power. On a grand scale. I want to go where innovation saves lives, rebuilds lives, creates life. I want a future built on the shoulders of giants, on a heritage of ideas. It's going to need the right environment. High impact, high value investment. World-class skills. A global vision. I've seen the future. And it's here.
London City, hello.
More women taking over the world.
Wonderful.
A better future is built by the brave, envisioned by brilliant minds, born from the passions of thousands strong. One that isn't without risk, but protected from it. Safe from all the worries and secure for what's to come. Because a better future with the greatest empires, the strongest communities, and the happiest families will always be worth having. That's why the bold and the fearless understand that recreating something better takes courage and strength. So together, let's start shaping a better future today.
Good afternoon, mayors, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our 21st Livable Cities Lab, presented by the Livable Cities Philippines, together with the League of Cities of the Philippines and Globe Telecom. Today's special event is the first in a series called Healthy Cities, organized in partnership with the British Embassy, Manila. We're 2 years into the COVID 19 pandemic, and the Philippines has recorded over 2.8 million COVID cases, which is 1% of the world's total of about 260 million. However, 97.8% of those cases have recovered, and so very few, only 2.2% of those cases are still active. So while we still tally many new cases and some deaths every day, the numbers have significantly reduced. These developments have resulted in the easing of restrictions and slowly open up the economy. However, full recovery hinges on how well we manage the challenge of the pandemic and how quickly we can protect the entire population, which is primarily through vaccination. The challenge now is how we can quickly administer vaccines and address the reluctance of people to get vaccinated. Today's lab on healthy cities, the vaccination challenge, will focus on the vaccination campaign, particularly on the target of hitting 1.5 million jabs daily on average, as well as address what are the benefits of vaccination and why we should get one. What are the myths and misconceptions to it? What interventions are necessary to more effectively administer the shots, particularly in areas where the vaccination rate remains low? We are pleased to have with us experts and key industry players and mayors to help us in today's discussion. Today we'll be joined by Dr. Beverly Hall, Director, Disease Prevention and Control, the Bureau of Department of Health, Mayor Jerry Tranias of Iloilo City, Mayor Lino Cayetano of Taguig City, and Mayor Ben Climaco of Zamboanga City. Before we formally start, let me first welcome our special guest today. It is my honor and great pleasure to introduce the Deputy Head of Mission of the British Embassy Manila, our partner in the Healthy Cities series, Deputy Ambassador Alasdair Totti, to deliver the keynote address.
Good afternoon. I'm Alasdair Totti, Deputy British Ambassador to the Philippines, and I'm very pleased to join the Livable Cities Challenge in welcoming you all to the first session of the Healthy Cities project. This pandemic has emphasised an unprecedented need to work together. The UK has always emphasised our commitment to help tackle the pandemic globally because we understand that no one is safe until we are all safe. The UK has been at the forefront of vaccine development while ensuring equitable access globally. The UK has allocated £90 million to the development of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine. The UK has also contributed £548 million of UK aid to help COVAX, the global vaccine facility, meet its target of distributing 1 billion doses of the coronavirus vaccines to 92 developing countries. COVAX has delivered more than one quarter, at least 30 million, of the country's current vaccine supply. This includes 5.2 million AstraZeneca vaccines donated and delivered by the UK last week, only a few days ahead of the national government's 3-day mass vaccination drive. This makes our total contribution to the Philippines at 5.6 million doses in 2021. This demonstrates the UK's continued commitment to ensure equitable access to COVID vaccines, especially for those who need them most. Despite the challenges in tackling this pandemic, we are encouraged to see valuable momentum in shared learning for pandemic response among local health systems, especially on improving response to the COVID-19. Over the last year, we have supported a number of learning exchanges with the Philippines. This included the UK-Philippine Vaccine Clinic, where we pooled technical resources to contribute to the dialogue around vaccine procurement, administration and risk communications, including addressing vaccine hesitancy. This has been a valuable opportunity for us to share the UK's lessons from its early vaccine rollout in December 2020, in time for the Philippines to start its own vaccination rollout in March. We are delighted to be working with the Livable Cities Challenge to continue lesson sharing on vaccine delivery, especially among local governments in the Philippines, through these livable cities labs that serve as learning clinics for local governments. We also thank the National Government, the Department of Health, the League of Cities and all our attendees across local governments, disaster management councils, the private sector and academia for joining this afternoon's dialogue. We hope this encourages further collaboration across all sectors in health. Maraming salamat at magandang hapon.
Thank you very much, Deputy Ambassador Tati, for your message, and thank you for the commitment and support we've received from United Kingdom. As the Deputy Ambassador was saying, we've been on the receiving end of this, receiving both AstraZeneca and also support through the COVAX facility. So thank you very much, Deputy Ambassador Tati. Again, before we start, just let me welcome everyone to the 21st Livable Cities Lab on Healthy Cities, the Vaccination Challenge. Before we begin, let's review just a few safety reminders. First, be aware of your surroundings while the seminar is ongoing or the webinar is ongoing, in case you need to stop due to an emergency. And second, please always stay safe and practice social distancing if you happen to be outside of your home. Now, this webinar will be recorded and will be available on the Livable Cities Facebook page. Questions may be asked in the Zoom Q&A chat box, which includes a feature that allows the audience to vote on questions posted by others by simply clicking on the thumbs up icon next to the question. Some of these will be answered directly by our speaker or their staff in the chat box, while other questions may be parked for later in the open forum. If you are joining the webinar on Facebook Live, you may place your question in the comment section of Facebook, and our staff will pick it up from there. At the end of this webinar, we will invite you to please fill up your feedback survey. Your response will help us in improving our Livable Cities Lab series. You may also get a certificate of participation by answering the corresponding questions in the survey. Now, we currently have 80 attendees on Zoom and Facebook Live. Thank you all for spending your afternoon with us at the Livable Cities Lab. Now, to get the program going, we'd like to ask all of you a couple of poll questions. But before we proceed, kindly note that the identity of poll participants is confidential and that the poll does not gather any personal information. So our first question is an easy one. Where are you joining us from? From Metro Manila or the National Capital Region? From the rest of Luzon, Visayas, or Mindanao? So the question has popped up on your screens. If you could take just a few seconds to answer the question, let us know where you're coming from, where you're joining us from today, Metro Manila, rest of Luzon, Visayas, or Mindanao. And okay, here are the results. 44% from Metro Manila, rest of Luzon, 24%. So that's roughly 2/3 from Luzon, and then an even split. Visayas 16% and Mindanao 16%. So we have 1/3 Visayas and Mindanao together, 2/3 Metro Manila and rest of Luzon. Thank you very much for that. Now let me ask the second question, and let me we get the feel for the room, and I think the mayors and Dr. Beverly Ho will get a good feel of what the room is like. So the second question is, are you vaccinated against the COVID-19 virus? Are you vaccinated against COVID-19 virus? So the answers are, you are partially vaccinated, meaning you've got the 1 dose. You're fully vaccinated, which means you've got 2 doses, or you've taken the Johnson & Johnson, which is a 1-dose shot. You are fully vaccinated and have received a booster, which of course is now allowed, or you are not vaccinated at all. So those are the options: partially vaccinated, fully vaccinated with a booster, or not vaccinated. Results. Oh, this is terrific. 86% are fully vaccinated. That's terrific news. 13% already have the booster. Only 2% not vaccinated. And of course, our intention today is to try to encourage everybody, including your friends and family, to be vaccinated. So thanks. That's very encouraging news that we have. Okay, so to kickstart this discussion, we had invited the vaccine czar and chief implementer, Secretary Carlito Galvez, to speak about where we are on the vaccine rollout and where we are on all plans and strategies on vaccinations. Unfortunately, he had been called uh, to go to Mindanao at the last minute because, as many of you may not be aware, that on top of his work as the vaccine czar, uh, he is still heading the peace process in Mindanao, and so he goes back and forth to Mindanao to handle discussions on the peace process as well. So Secretary Charlie had to leave, but fortunately, I have a copy of his presentation. And so, what I'd like to do is share my screen and show you a little bit about what's been happening as I work every day with Secretary Charlie and Secretary Vince, Dizon, and the mayors on the vaccine rollout, and in particular in the last uh, vaccine day, vaccine national day. No, so let me um, let me start and give sort of a quick snapshot of Secretary Galvez's presentation to our regular vaccine group. So the first is that the National Vaccine Days was run just last week, November 29th, 30th, and December 1st. And on those 3 days, the country was able to administer 8,090,078 doses out of a targeted 9 million doses. So out of a target of 3 million per day, the country was able to do roughly 2.6 to 2.7 million a day. Significantly, 6.7 million of those doses were first doses. So that means people who had never been vaccinated. And the reason that is significant is because within a month, roughly from being vaccinated on November 29, 30, or December 1, they will receive their second shots and will be fully vaccinated by the new year. 1.2 million received their second dose, and 210,694 received their booster doses. Also significantly, 7 regions were able to beat their targets because they got extremely well organized in time for the 3 day National Vaccination Day. And the 6 regions achieved more than 70% of their targets. So you can see the numbers: 2.7 doses administered on day one, 2.5 million on day two, and 2.8, 2.9 million on day three. So uh, this was the top four global rankings in terms of vaccinations as a percentage, as rated to population. So if you take a look now at the Philippine performance in uh, doses administered per 100 people as of December 1st, the Philippines is up here, um, highest among this group of countries, highest in ASEAN. So the top two in ASEAN are Philippines and Vietnam. And not incidentally, we also have the lowest number of new cases in ASEAN. Together with Indonesia and Cambodia, the Philippines has the lowest new case numbers reported. Uh, if we take a look at the regional summary here, on these 3 days, the 8 million administered, number one was Calabarzon, which administered over 1 million doses per day, but for the 3 days rather. But all other regions you can see moved and performed really well. And I think our mayor speaking today can speak to their uh, performance. If you want to take a look at it by sector, we know healthcare workers have been vaccinated, and A2 are the seniors, so that's a significant number. The pediatric A3, which is 12 to 17-year-olds who have a comorbidity, also a significant number. And then ROPP refers to rest of the pediatric population. So you can see that we are rapidly moving up the the numbers of vaccines administered to 12 to 17-year-olds. And if you look at A4, the 1.5 million uh, people vaccinated represents frontline workers. And so the higher this number goes, the more significant it is, because that allows us to be able to um, open up the economy. And then finally, let me just show you what the 5 day average was. So the 3 days of the campaign, we had a high number, 2.7, 2.5, 2.9. And then we continued on to December and to first 2 days of December, December 2 and 3 at 1.1 million and then 975,000, back to our more average performance, which is about a million a day. And we're able to hit over 10 million in 1 week. Owing to the success of this particular program, the National Vaccine Days is going to enter round two on December 15, 16, and 17, nationwide again, in a big push to try to get people who are not yet vaccinated to get vaccinated. So we encourage all of you to please call out within your regions, within your LGUs, within your provinces, to encourage people to get to go out and get vaccinated. Now, um, let me just show you that the final, just to illustrate that there are enough supplies. Uh, there are 146.4 million doses already delivered, and take note, another 67.3 million to be delivered in December. And you can see the breakdown below in terms of Pfizer, Moderna, AstraZeneca, the COVAX, and the bilateral donations. What this means is that if you total it up, we're going to have about 200 million doses. We do have enough for the population to get its complete doses. And all we have to do now is just encourage people to get vaccinated. So, with that, let me close this presentation and get back to our uh, regular uh, program. And now let me turn you over to our um, moderator for today, Sui Suarez, who is uh, he is a veteran with us in livable cities, has been around since the beginning, and has been extremely helpful in designing a lot of our programs. He is currently with Aboitiz Power. He's had a lot of experience in the energy business, having been with Shell prior to joining Aboitiz Power. And he's been, as I said, a long time moderator for us in the Livable Cities Lab. Let me turn you over now to Sui Suarez. Sui, over to you.
Thank you, Bill. Thanks for the kind introduction and for the updates on the National Vaccination Day um, activities, no? And then the progress. It's amazing. 10 million vaccines, average of 2 million a day. No? It's a double the normal 1 million a day average for the country. So wonderful, wonderful achievement there on the National Vaccination Day. Congratulations to everybody who are involved with that. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sui. I will be moderating today's webinar. And as Bill mentioned, we have quite a good set of speakers this afternoon. So let us kick off our speakers, no? Our lineup of speakers today. So for our first speaker, we have Dr. Beverly Ho. So Dr. Beverly Lorraine Ho is the concurrent director for Health Promotion Bureau and Disease Prevention and Control Bureau at the Department of Health of the Philippines. Immediately prior, she was the Chief Research Division Head of the Health Policy Department and Planning Bureau, where her efforts significantly contributed to the passage of key legislation on sugar sweetened beverage tax, tobacco tax, and universal health care. She also worked in the Philippine Health Insurance Corporation and the Asian Development Bank. Dr. Beverly is a fellow of the Maurice Greenberg World Fellows Program at Yale University, the Equity Initiative, and the Atlantic Institute. She holds a medical degree from the University of the Philippines and an MPH in Health Policy and Management from the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health as a Fulbright scholar. So to speak to us today on why vaccination is good for you, let us welcome Dr. Beverly Ho. Hi Doc, how are you? Magandang hapon.
Hi, good afternoon po. Magandang hapon po.
Good afternoon. I can hear you well and we see you on screen. So I leave the virtual stage to you, Doc.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So allow me to just share my slides. So the first part of my presentation will talk about the most common misconception, and then slowly, really take you through how we're combating vaccine hesitancy. So I know I have 12 minutes, so I'll make this quick. So basically, since we started, the main message that we've had is as simple as this, that COVID-19 vaccines are safe, effective, and free. So everyone should get it. So what have been the worst, I guess, misconceptions that have been going around that we continue to still get a lot of queries to this day? First, really, you need to be assured that none of the vaccines can cause COVID-19. So it can protect you, but it doesn't cause COVID-19. Second is that mRNA vaccines, Pfizer and Moderna specifically, they do not alter your DNA. So they don't go in to that part of your DNA where they can change your DNA. Third is that there's still no deaths caused by vaccines, COVID-19 vaccines in the Philippines. So please be reassured of this. Fourth is that vaccines, COVID-19 vaccines have not been linked to infertility or miscarriage. So it is really safe for pregnant and breastfeeding women. Fifth, vaccines do not contain an RFID, so you will not get tracked by government here or abroad at all. Then sixth is that only a portion of people actually do report adverse events. That's around 2% of those who get vaccinated, and most of these are actually mild. The sixth is that even if you've had COVID, you're still recommended to have vaccination. And the last is, hindi totoo, vaccines will actually not make you a zombie. So actually to this day, it might sound funny to some of you, but really, this is a very legit question, especially by some sectors in the society. So with that, what are we actually doing to address vaccine hesitancy? So, of course, we do have our campaign called Res Vacuna, which is probably familiar to many of you. But really, the objectives are manifold for us. First is to improve willingness to get vaccinated for Filipinos. Second is to support full vaccination and uptake. And finally, to continuously comply with our minimum public health standards. Not because there's vaccine, pwede na natin kalimutan yung minimum public health standards. So we do have a set of above the line and below the line community engagement mechanisms. Pero just to put it into context, how are we addressing vaccine hesitancy? And you can see in this intervention ladder that we've adopted from least restrictive to most restrictive on the right-hand side. Ngayon, we do have a little bit of everything until the disincentives part. The compulsion part, we're not doing because that will really require legislation. So most of what I will be sharing in the next few slides will be around the persuasion box. The first box, kasi yun yung pinakamatrabaho. The second box is on nudges, or things that will allow the citizens to make it easy for them to get their vaccination. And probably our local chief executive panelists can talk a lot about this kasi ang dami nilang innovations dito, no? From home visits to free transport to the bus, etc. No? Then the third would be incentives related to, say, for example, having this lottery that we've run, and some other LGUs have also done this. And then the fourth box is on disincentives, meaning there are some places that you can't go into if you're not vaccinated. So may framework yung lahat ng ginagawa natin to address vaccine hesitancy and or to increase more demand. But for the first box, we're happy to note that we do have multiple campaigns, no, targeted to different audience segments, but probably the most obvious to many of you would be the Res Bakuna campaign being run by the DOH and the Ingat Angat campaign being run by our partners in Task Force T3 from the private sector. So more class EB, no, yung Ingat Angat, then we target CDE for Res Bakuna. So we did have quite a lot, no, of information out from social media to TV and radio commercials. But I think more importantly, the campaign included strategic partnerships with a lot of people, no, within government, with the private sector, with development partners or multilateral agencies, and even private civil society organizations. No? And for this, we were able to do a lot of online training of trainers, particularly because we needed to improve the capacity of people on the ground to be able to convince their communities to get vaccinated. No? Hindi naman sila lahat nakikinig lang sa atin at the national level or sa celebrities sa television. No? So their influencers are actually influencers on the ground, and we had to equip them. So we had PDRF and Asia Foundation helping us work with our barangay or LGU counterparts for this. We did run a lot of town halls, first for health workers, then eventually, we went company to company, and as we go along, really built, an army, of people who can bring information to their own circles. As mentioned, we also did have a lot of modules and manuals to support community frontliners on the ground. We did also have this health systems playbook where local government units can refer to for their local planning for demand generation. As mentioned, we did have partnerships with some of our national government agencies. So in this case, the DOTR was the one in charge of the transportation sector, and they just asked for our materials, etc. And then they actually ran the campaign for Super, like Superhero is how they would call their parang Res Bakuna spin-off campaign. Then we did have this partnership also with, say, a private entity. So Syngenta works with a lot of farmers, and so they were our partner in reaching the farming communities, particularly because we know that there's a level also of hesitancy for that particular group. So DSWD, more obviously because of the family development seminars that they undertake for the 4Ps families. There were also on-site launches and celebrity vaccination that were undertaken both by Res Bakuna and Ingat Angat. So these were also being used to drum up interest. So with all of that, where are we now? So we're happy to note that the survey by last September showed that the unwillingness actually declined from 33% to now 18%. The uncertain group declined from 35% to 19%. And so we are actually at around 64% vaccinated amongst those who were surveyed. And since May, our percent willingness is actually already 2 times or double the number. More importantly, if you look at the disaggregated numbers, what is most important to look at is the willingness are all increasing. The unwilling is also down. And the uncertain is actually the group no, that we actually all need to collectively target, particularly in the next run of the National Vaccination Day. So, yung unwilling, ito yung pinaka-challenging. Kumbaga, this will be our last mile. No? But all it's showing is that with a solid strategy, with vaccine supplies already in the country, as what Sir Bill has showed us, and also with bandwagon effect starting to kick in, we are confident no, that we can reach our targets. And so, other good news is that the Philippines is actually among the top 5 countries no, with highest single-day jabs as a result of our national vaccination rates. And moving forward, we will have a second run of Bayanihan Bakunahan on 15th to 17th of December, and we encourage you all to volunteer in your LGUs. We'll also be issuing out a call for volunteers through the CSO partners that we actually have. We do know that vaccine willingness is steadily increasing, but disinformation continues to be rampant, especially with fear of new variants. So we all have to be agents of accurate and timely information. So my last pitch is that we all just need to remember that the vaccines, while they don't prevent COVID, no, or mild COVID, they do prevent severe hospitalization. And we do have to know and recognize that the vaccines are part of the 5 things no, that we have to collectively do and give as gifts to our family members over the holidays. Hindi pwedeng vaccines lang and then we forget everything else. So with that, I'm wishing everyone a happy Christmas already. And let's hope that in the upcoming vaccination run, we will really be able to achieve the 70% at least naka-primary series na for the country. And our opening economic recovery will be tuloy-tuloy na. So that would be all. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Beverly. And it's really great that you took us through the interventions that are being done from persuasion, nudges, incentives, disincentives, no, to try to get as much people vaccinated. And as you said, it's commendable to note that the Philippines reached that one of the in the top 5, right? The most vaccine doses in a day. So that's quite impressive. Next vaccine days will be that's December 15 to 17, right? Okay, great. So thanks for that. Please hang on. We'll get to talk to Dr. Beverly again later in our Q&A or panel discussion. There are some questions in the Q&A chat box. So please, if you have questions to address to Dr. Beverly, put it there. I see we have some interesting questions here from Joel Adriano. Thank you for that. We'll take them up. If not here directly on the Q&A chat box, we'll take them up later during the Q&A session. And also, if you're on Facebook, you can put your questions in the comments section of Facebook, and then we'll take them up at the Q&A panel discussion later. So our next set of speakers, I would like to introduce 3 mayors to present about their respective vaccination drives. So I'm going to introduce all of them all together now, and then we'll get to see how the vaccination drives are happening in their respective cities. Our first mayor is Mayor Jerry Treñas from Iloilo City. Mayor Jerry earned his Bachelor of Arts major in Political Science degree in 1978 at the Ateneo de Manila University. Afterwards, he pursued a Bachelor of Laws degree at the Ateneo de Manila University School of Law in 1982 and graduated with honors. Mayor Jerry also served as the chairman of the League of Cities of the Philippines from July 2007 to 2010 and served as a congressman from 2010 to 2019. Next is Mayor Lino Cayetano. He is a Filipino politician and television director serving as the mayor of Taguig since 2019. It was in 2010 when Mayor Lino decided to enter into politics as a barangay captain of Port Bonifacio. He was later elected as the congressman of Taguig's 2nd district in 2013 at the age of 36. In his first days in office, he filed the Scholar ng Bayan Bill, which was first implemented in the city. And in the bill, all graduates and top 10 of their classes from high schools are automatically become scholars in the state-owned universities, including the University of the Philippines. And our last mayor speaker is Mayor Beng Climaco of Zamboanga City. Mayor Beng is the second lady mayor of the city of Zamboanga. She previously served as the city as the city councilor in 1998, as vice mayor in 2004, and as a member of the House of Representatives in 2007, where she championed RA 9710, or the Magna Carta of Women. She served as the youngest and only female deputy speaker from Mindanao during the 15th Congress. In 2017, the Philippine Federation of the Local Councils of Women conferred her as the most outstanding mayor of the Philippines award. She was recognized by London-based City Mayors Foundation as one of the top 5 world's best mayors in 2019. She is a lieutenant colonel under the Army Reserve Command, and she's also a licensed teacher and guidance counselor. So let us all welcome our 3 mayors to the Livable Cities Lab: Mayor Cañas, Mayor Cayetano, and Mayor Clima.
Since the start of this pandemic, multiple variants of COVID-19 have appeared. Although according to studies, some do not have significant health impacts, but most may affect COVID-19 transmission, disease severity, testing, treatment, or vaccine effectiveness. Almost 2 years since this pandemic started, but many parts of the world have not yet recovered, especially in terms of economic stability. Many industries have closed down, and even established companies continue to be at the brink of bankruptcy. Here in the Philippines, we have launched various initiatives to lessen the impact of COVID-19 to the community. On a local level, LGUs have doubled their efforts to strengthen the prevention, mitigation, and preparedness pillars to ensure that disaster preparedness and response plans are calibrated to tailor fit to the given situation in order to avoid the worsening of the impacts in the community. We see that vaccination is yet our best chance to recover. But even before COVID-19 vaccines were available, we have already launched programs and initiatives in our fight against the unseen enemy. With regard to the COVID-19 situation in Iloilo City, we were able to get things under control by immediately providing probable solutions to the pressing concerns. As early as February last year, even before the national government enforced community quarantine, we already formed a COVID-19 team composed of medical doctors and other professionals, experts in various fields who are in charge of the policies regarding COVID-19 concerns. During the enhanced community quarantine, we activated 240 community kitchens that served 2.2 million meals to the residents badly hit by the pandemic. 19 Ilonggo bakeries and milling firms also rallied together and launched a project dubbed as Ilonggo Pandesal that provided 1.7 million pieces of bread to the people. Ilonggo businessmen also donated 5.5 million pesos worth of test kits, while ordinary citizens donated cloth and volunteered for PPE and face mask production. With our desire to fast-track RT-PCR results to test more people, we opened a new molecular laboratory November last year. We also opened a new quarantine facility in addition to the existing facilities we have, and an off-site dormitory for the frontliners. To ensure that minimum health standards and preventive measures are strictly observed even in the reopening of businesses. We came up with a COVID compliance team to check on the obedience of business establishments, PUV, operators, customers, and commuters. Barangay officials also work with compliance team for stauncher responses. Other initiatives include USWAG relief operations, Ilonggo Artists Against COVID-19, USWAG seamstresses and tailors, USWAG bike sharing, Iloilo PPE production, USWAG rolling store, and cash assistance to vendors and LGBTQ community. All these initiatives were made possible by the strong public-private partnership here in Iloilo City. I am very proud of such initiatives. However, I have realized that some of them will only have short-term effects, and without access to vaccines, strict behavioral measures may have to remain for the foreseeable future. Only vaccination will help us develop herd immunity so we could be able to get back on track. So the very moment vaccines were available, we launched our vaccination campaign, Bato Iloilo Mapabakuna Ako, on a multi-level approach. We utilize all available platforms for our vaccination campaign. We made use of social media, mainstream media, at the barangay level, the academe, and even the business sector. We have provided a safety seal to business establishments with employees who are fully vaccinated and granted them with higher capacity to encourage businesses to have their employees vaccinated. We also had a strong partnership with the medical community and close engagements with infectious diseases specialists to debunk misleading and false information about vaccines, which was one of the main reasons why many were apprehensive and anxious to get vaccinated at first. We inoculated our first batch of vaccines to medical frontliners with 222 doses last March 14. When supplies of vaccines started to continuously arrive, we put up 9 big sites to expedite vaccination process. These sites were located in universities, malls, and the Iloilo Convention Center, and we are very grateful for the strong support of the academe and the business sector. At present, we have 5 active vaccination sites. I am also very happy with the overwhelming response to our vaccination campaign. Currently, we have 117% of fully vaccinated residents, the highest percentage outside NCR. And we are continuously doing our best to vaccinate more people, including those living outside Iloilo City. We have also vaccinated roughly 49,000 of children aging 12 to 17 years old in preparation to possible reopening of face-to-face classes next year. We have also started inoculating booster shots to the senior citizens with 3.15% and medical frontliners with 23%. Our rigid vaccination efforts have taught us about the importance of having a concrete plan and seamless execution of the plan to save time, efforts, and to avoid chaos and disarray. Logistical management must be well organized for efficient accounting of inventories to avoid running out of supplies. At present, I am happy to share to everyone, despite having economic activities in our city, the cases of COVID-19 in the hospitals have significantly decreased, and I believe that vaccination has played a very crucial role. We continue to encourage Ilonggos and those working in Iloilo to get vaccinated and get booster shots so that we can speed up our recovery. LGUs have been forced to implement tight restrictions on different activities to curb the spread of the virus. And COVID-19 vaccination is now offering a way to transition out of this phase of the pandemic. So I am looking forward to more people get vaccinated, get boosters, not just in Iloilo but in other parts of the country and of the world. I believe that getting vaccinated is every individual's responsibility. And I see it as humanity's hope amidst this very uncertain phase of life. Bato, Iloilo, mapabakuna ako.
Since World Health Organization's declaration of COVID-19 outbreak as a pandemic, this global phenomenon has impacted the entire humanity, causing the limit of our work activities, the unwanted distance in our interaction with our loved ones, the freezing of international economies, and the scarcity in public health needs. Our city has been at the forefront of COVID-19 response in the entire country. With our strong campaign dubbed as Bato Iloilo Mapabakuna Ako, Iloilo City Government felt the need to immediately vaccinate the people to overcome the threats of the virus. Our natural herd immunity was not sufficient in fighting the virus, and so the intervention of the vaccine became the hope. We launched vax registration caravans in various locations such as malls, barangays, and plazas. Public announcements and campaign materials were also widely disseminated through our social media platforms, mainstream media, posters, and leaflets. We also extended our vaccination activities to our 180 barangays, companies, and other institutions. When DOH announced the start of vaccination for minors, we also partnered with schools to speed up and widen our campaign. Now, we take pride on the latest statistics of 115% vaccination rollout, exceeding the desired outcome and even extending it to the non-residents of the city. Indeed, Bato, Iloilo, bakunado na kita.
Thank you for that, Mayor Jerry. So we'd like to call on stage next si Mayor Lino. Is he on the line? There you go. Hello, Mayor. Magandang hapon.
Hi,
And,
sir.
welcome to our webinar. Yes.
Thank you. Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat, to my friend Bill, to the good men and women behind the Livable Cities Lab. Good afternoon, Mayor Beng, ma'am. Magandang hapon po. I'll begin my presentation so I don't take too much time from everyone. But thank you, and I'm very happy to share and to speak about vaccination in the city of Taguig. Unang-una, no, let me just share this.
Go ahead, Mayor. We see your presentation. It's on screen. Go ahead.
Okay. Just a general overview. No, the city of Taguig, according to the latest Department of Health estimate, has 872,980. So together with workers of the city, more or less, we're a city of 1 million people who live and who work here. Just a general overview of where we are in vaccination. Doc Bev so eloquently put it, no, na we have all the tools we need to fight this virus, but most important of all right now is to get vaccinated. We have 85% of our targets already vaccinated, so 742,000. Very high, 75% is already fully vaccinated. So similar to much of Metro Manila, and we really owe this to extraordinary cooperation between the national government, the local government, and the private sector. The private sector really played a key role here, not just in providing the logistics, the support, later on the vaccines through donation, but really building confidence. And I'll talk a little bit about it later. But particularly in Taguig, really the partnership between the private sector and government really helped accelerate the vaccination rollout. So we've delivered 1 million jobs by September 7. So I think that's quite significant. When we began all this around December 2020, we really didn't know what our capabilities or what our capacity was. I don't think anyone in the world really anticipated that we needed to jab a huge number or a maximum number of people as in as short as possible time. So these were all estimates. In a matter of 189 days, we were able to jab 1 million. Looking at our numbers, we've hit 100% of our senior citizens. That led to having the lowest case fatality rate. So number one is really to be able to take care of our most vulnerable sector. So we made sure that our seniors and those with comorbidities, many cities, as guided by the Department of Health, as we fully vaccinated our seniors, then we were able to go towards the general population faster. Just to give you some numbers, I mentioned earlier that we hit 1 million jobs by September. But something we learned also, and I think it's very important now moving forward, we don't know how many more boosters we will need. We don't know what's in the future in terms of vaccination. But we know now what our capabilities are. Our highest number for one day in Taguig is 24,000. Our highest number for a week is 118,000. What does this mean? This means that alam na namin ngayon, we now know that in a matter of 10 weeks, we can do 1 million jobs. So that's 2.5 months. So ngayon, no matter what happens, we know that in 2.5 months, we are able to roll out about 1 million or more than 1 million jobs. So sort of divided yung presentation po natin to 3 important parts. We wanted just to take you back to where we came from when this all started in around March of 2020. So first was vaccination, acquisition, and procurement. Back then, we really didn't know where the vaccines would come from. So the city of Taguig in around March set aside 1 billion for pandemic response. As you know, Taguig is one of the central business districts here in the National Capital Region. We're blessed to have funds to be able to set aside. We were anticipating vaccines to come from 3 sources. So the national government, the local government, the private sector. No, we set aside 1 billion for pandemic response. We talked to a few major suppliers. So AstraZeneca, Covovax, Covaxin by Bharat, then Moderna and Johnson & Johnson with initial talks. At that time, we pursued all of this because we didn't know which one would pan out. Eventually, at that time, we didn't even know which one would get an emergency use agreement allowance. But eventually, AstraZeneca was the only one to date who have been able to deliver. Overall, 1.4 million vaccine doses has been delivered. 89% came from the national government, 6% from the private sector, and 4% from the LGU. So to give you an example, we ordered 250 doses of AstraZeneca. We've only received and administered around 40,000. But the national government was able to provide 90% of our vaccine needs. And pretty much we've been able to cope because of the national government's vaccine acquisition. One of the reasons why Taguig was able to be a early recipient, kaya kami nakapaghanda, kaya kami nabigyan ng bakuna ng maaga. So the World Health Organization cited Taguig's readiness when the Department of Health went around to look at LGUs. Taguig was among the first to receive because as early as December, we've prepared already our supply chain. We realized that key to all of this is storage. So up to now, we have some issues with storage throughout the country, especially in cities, municipalities that are in islands or hard to reach areas. Early on, we realized that if we secured if we secured cold storage early, then we have more options when our vaccine comes. And true enough, around January, we partnered with a private cold storage facility that is based here in the city of Taguig. And even if there were still not so much clarity, or vagueness when it comes to the specific requirements of the different vaccines, we already knew that we needed to prepare for everything: extreme temperatures, refrigerated temperatures, etc. So because we had the capabilities for extreme temperature, and our private partner even had these boxes where we could keep Moderna or Pfizer to extreme temperatures, even up to 5 days. It allowed us more flexibility. So even before the vaccines came here, we ran simulations with motorcycles, with policemen, with traffic management officers, so that we could map out all the sites and we have an idea how much time it would take us. That prepared us. That gave us a mindset that we could do this fast, we could do it safely, we could do it in a massive scale. But what we didn't realize, and what helped us the most, it gave our people confidence. A while ago, we were talking about vaccine hesitancy, and we realized throughout this whole process, by showing them that government is prepared, by showing them that government is competent, then it helps alleviate a lot of those fears, the fear of unknown, especially with the new vaccines. So quickly, the second phase is vaccine registration and scheduling. I think up to now, this is one of the challenges sa aming mga LGU, no? Paano magrehistro, paano mag-schedule? How do we register? How do we get a schedule for vaccination? So in Taguig, we realized that number one, maximizing technology, but number two, always having an alternative. So Taguig Trace right now is a program, an app, a website as well, where you can register and you can schedule time, place, and date. So I think the city of Taguig is unique in that sense, that up to now, you can schedule when you will be vaccinated, where will you be vaccinated, and what time you will be vaccinated. So you can do that through the Trace app, trace.taguig.gov.ph. You can also go to any of our Trace kiosks. So the city of Taguig has around 28 barangays, and each barangay has a Trace kiosk. You can go there, show your ID, i-register ka doon, and they will schedule you also. But aside from that, we have a huge number of our population as well, and maybe partly it's hesitancy, who will not go out. So we have barangay health workers who go door to door. So this is an example. This is as early as about February last year, February of 2021. We've gone around knocking on people's doors, telling them about vaccines, that they will come and that they are key to ending this pandemic. So we went around explaining and registering our senior citizens. These are also the layout of our Trace booths. So you can go there, bring your ID and schedule. And then lastly, as I mentioned earlier, our Trace app. We also realized that we really needed community champions. So yung individual appointments could only get us so far, even if they are door to door, through our kiosks, or through online. A bulk of our populations were done with the help of our vaccine champions. These can be HR managers of companies, they can be elected officials, they can be homeowners, presidents. So what happens is they give us a master list. So let's say one building in Taguig, the building manager will send an email or send a letter to the residents, and they would give us a list of about 300 citizens. Then we schedule 1 or 2 time slot exclusively for that building, for that subdivision, for that homeowners association. And that helped us get a lot more people vaccinated through community champions. Lastly, the vaccination rollout and the vaccination of and the establishment of the vaccination centers. So this is the third in, I think, the major factors in being able to roll out successfully. Establishing vaccination sites were more challenging than we thought. it was easy initially to just say that all the schools will be vaccination center. So initially we thought, okay, we can have 30 sites. But because of logistic issues, storage of the vaccines, and the necessary human resources that's needed, as well as the comfort and safety of our citizens, we decided to engage early the private sector. And here in Taguig, all the major stakeholders, in fact, all the malls have vaccination centers. I think we're one of the cities that engaged early a lot of our malls and shopping centers. But something that we also did was establish our own vaccination hub even before the vaccines came, and made it a training center. So the Taguig Lakeshore Vaccination Center became the training center for all vaccine hubs in our city. In fact, a lot of cities visited here, including the Department of Health, to check our system. So what we do is our vaccination teams would train here. And then after that, they will be deployed to the malls and they will set up their own vaccination centers there. So even on day one, a lot of our teams are used to the system because they would have been assigned and trained here and simulated here. Here we strictly follow the initial guidelines of the WHO Health Organization, where you have 5 steps. So this is it. So this is a LGU run training center. After that, again, even before the vaccines came, we partnered with the private sector. This is a parking building that we turned into a vaccination center. It's vaccinated more than 200,000 people. One car park. This is a Samsung Hall in SM Ora. A lot of our spaces, especially in the malls, are beautiful, inspiring. We realized that it helped alleviate a lot of the fears. This one is in High Street. We designed it with local artists. And this one is open till 12 midnight, the one in High Street. This one is in Venice Mall. So we're also one of the cities that first engaged the movie houses, and we were allowed by the IATF and the DOH to vaccinate in our movie houses. We also used our schools because although we had free rides to our vaccination centers, walking to the schools were also more convenient for some communities. We also used local businesses, like this is a place in Taguig where we'd have a lot of debuts, weddings, and we partnered with them, turned it into a vaccination center. This is an example of our schools. And lastly, which also became a best practice, is our vaccination bus. So we retrofitted 2 buses, and they went around the city, and we realized when you hit 50% of your population vaccinated, then the hesitancy really kicks in. So pag pumasok kayo, when you go into the communities, it gives them more confidence. It's easier for them to see the doctors there, to see the setup there. They don't need to walk to a school or go through public transport, to go to the mall. When we were in the community, we were able to reach the last mile for our vaccinees. So it was cited by the DOH as a best practice as well. So this is an example of our vaccination bus. The city of Taguig also was blessed to already have a massive network of health workers. We have around 300 doctors who work for the city. We have around 1,800 health workers, including barangay health workers who are community-based. So they report to our health center. We have 31 health centers. We have a local hospital that is completely run by the local government. And then we're building a second hospital. But essential to that is really the 1,800 health workers, 300 of which are doctors. And we redeployed them into our vaccination hubs. Post-monitoring, we did door-to-door. We did through our health centers and also through our Trace website. So just quickly, let me also share that the city of Taguig has the lowest case fatality rate. That's something we're very proud of, and we attribute it to really a strong engagement with the community. Early on, we've talked to a lot of our senior citizens, and we've engaged them about the dangers of COVID-19, and we've kept that particular age group free from COVID-19, and that helped lower our case fatality. We also test more than any city in the National Capital Region. We're not the biggest city by far. We're around fourth in terms of population. But as you can see here, in terms of free government testing, we test massively in the city of Taguig. In fact, we've done 229 free COVID PCR tests in Taguig. That's around 23% of the population. This is through our partnership with the Department of Health, the National Testing Task Force, the Red Cross, as well as our own laboratory. We have drive-through, we pioneered drive-through testing, and up to today, we have 3 drive-through tests, testing a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Our health centers tests every day. So in Taguig, you have 33 sites where you can go any day, and they're all open for free COVID testing. We also have mobile testing for our businesses. So here's an example. Per barangay, we test. These are our park and test facilities. And together with that 1 billion allotment that we did in 2020, we established our own molecular laboratory. So together with the Red Cross, with RITM and DOH, our own molecular laboratories also help us to process more tests. So we do around 400 to 800 tests a day with our molecular laboratory. We also allotted for our quarantine facility. So long-term, this really helped us. Right now, we've moved into contracting hotels. So these hotels act as our quarantine facility. Even those businesses who are based in Taguig, kung meron hong may COVID ho sa inyo, kung meron hong positibo, you can quarantine with us. Free meals, and there's a doctor and a nurse and an ambulance on standby that can bring you to a doctor. So these are some of the long-term interventions that we plan. Also, key to everything, I think, is really communication, like I mentioned earlier. We've established several channels, our I Love Taguig Facebook, tagiginfo.com that consolidates all guidelines. A lot of the complaint of the private sector is magulo, hindi malinaw. Iba ang sinasabi ng national, iba sa local. Hinihintay pa namin yung guidelines. So tagiginfo.com through Safe City consolidates all national guidelines with our local guidelines. We also established separate pages so we can streamline the data. We have a Viber, I Love Taguig Viber group, Taguig Trace Facebook page. So we try to give as much information as we can in our LGU. So lastly, as I close, our key learnings. Number one is to really plan your rollout early and to be able to build simulation models. So up to today, ngayon our cases are low. We're already simulating when the next surge may happen, and that allows us to prepare. Right now, we're building our infrastructure so that when that surge happens, we're ready. So we realized from the beginning, case number 4, March 7, 2020, was in Taguig. And because of early intervention, we were able to contain and to not make Taguig an epicenter of the virus. But we realized that you always have to keep looking forward. Number 2, combating misinformation and building confidence. We realized that government really has to be accessible. So we have over 10,000 designated safety officers because each registered business in Taguig, we ask them to register a safety officer, and we're in constant communication with them. We constantly feed them information. And lastly, to adjust and adapt to the situation. So many times, we already had a set plan, but when things change, we needed to adapt. So many times, we had a plan for a particular sector or an industry, but the sector or the industry tells us themselves, it does not work. So we adjust and we plan a way forward together. Lastly, one of the reasons why the city of Taguig is confident that the new future or the future looks bright is because when we make policy, we look at our own data. And the data has been very good recently. Taguig has an office that only deals with processing national and local data. Data from the Department of Health, our own offices, and the various national government agencies. So regardless of what we hear or see or read in the newspaper, Taguig has always been confident when it rolls out its policy because we know that we are backed with our own data. I'll give you an example of the kind of data I receive every day at 10 o'clock. So every day at 10 o'clock, I have a group of data managers. They're all around 20 years old. There's around 8 or 9 of them. And all they do every day is crunch numbers. So we don't only see the trend in Taguig, but we also see the trend of all other cities in Metro Manila. I see all the barangays. I even have a snapshot of the key cities around the world. So I get this every day at around 10 or 11 a.m. So it's able to really give us a better picture of what's going on. Aside from that, Trend does localized reports. So we do not look at Taguig just as a whole, but we also look at the individual components. So for example, Barangay Fort Bonifacio, we're able to look at what is the case fatality in Barangay Fort Bonifacio, what is the profile of those getting sick in Barangay Fort Bonifacio, is it different from another barangay? So it's able to also help guide us when we further localize policy. To close, we said this from the start and we continue to adhere to it. We want to stay aggressive, we want to be relentless, but we also need to learn how to adapt. Again, thank you so much for this opportunity to share part of our pandemic response and particularly our vaccination rollout. Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor Lino. That's really quite impressive. Covered a lot of ground, lots of commonalities with Iloilo as well. But let's move on to Mayor Beng, and we'll run through a lot of the learnings there and really good stuff to share. No, so Mayor Beng, welcome back to our webinar. Welcome back to Liverpool Cities. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, buenas tardes. Sui, paz de Dios y abrazo de Nuestra Señora la Virgen del Pilar y San Jose. Assalamualaikum. Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh a todos. Mayor Lino, Sir Bill, and everyone. Mayor Jerry, thank you for the inspiration that I'm learning. Don't worry, Mayor Lino, I'm going to visit your city this December because my husband is a resident of Taguig. So nice to be home. Vaccination is the key to moving toward the new normal. I am with Jasmine Muhammad Sali, who did the research work for this, and Garnet Francisco. Achieving herd immunity is the best protection our people, especially now, as we contend with different variants and experience increasing mobility again with the reopening of our economy and our borders and even face-to-face classes. As of December 5, Zamboanga City has a total of 871,877 vaccinated individuals from eligible populations, including 12 to 17-year-old pediatrics group. We have achieved 97,893 vaccinations in 58 vaccination centers during the 3-day national vaccine drive. In terms of percentage, Zamboanga City is now 46 fully vaccinated, more or less 46 to 45, and 81% partially vaccinated. The challenges that we have, like many cities, one of our biggest early challenges was vaccination supply. We had insufficient vaccination supply, and as an important center of gravity for security, health and education, and economy and transport, and even health, Zamboanga City really needed continuous and ample vaccine supplies to fast-track vaccination. We made repeated representations to the national IATF, and we're very grateful to the national government heeded our call for more vaccine allocations to Zamboanga City, which really allowed us to make progress in our vaccination. Thank you, Secretary Carlito Galvez and Secretary Vince Lizon. Through the League of Cities of the Philippines, Zamboanga City also purchased our own vaccine allocation of 410,000 doses of AstraZeneca in the amount of 100 million pesos. Vaccine hesitancy was also a challenge, with many of our communities swayed by fake sensationalized news as well as a fear of the unknown. Some people even thought that if they'll be vaccinated, they will turn into zombies, and they really believe that. So we allayed this by engaging with all sectors through the information sessions and convening the Barangay Information Network Group to be vaccine heroes and information multipliers. The USAID also assisted us on this, and today the Beyonds are the best in the region under Sheila Covarrubias, our PIO. As a multicultural city, we also realized the importance of localized engagement. We translated our materials to the vernacular, languages, dialects, and worked with the community leaders of our indigenous peoples in deference to the tradition and culture. We utilize technology to streamline online registration and information dissemination through social media, although we still have quite a backlog and the DICT is helping us. Further leveraging the power of social media, we tapped on the influence of authority figures, including our Zamboangueño Olympians, Heidi Lindias, and Humor Felix Marshall to champion the advocacy. We have a gold and we have a bronze Olympic medalist, all from Zamboanga City, and we're very proud and thankful to God for them. As we continue to push to vax to the max, we are incentivizing vaccination to encourage more people to get vaccinated. We are also preparing for the rollout of booster shots. The lessons that we have learned was that it is important to note that vaccination is not just for protection for the individuals, but for the entire family and the community. National and local government must work together, and the local chief executives are on the ground and aware of the local situation and needs. Communication is very important, and we must exhaust every communication channel, the tools to reach out to vulnerable populations who may have special needs of information. I have to speak in Chabacano, in Tausug, Tagalog, Cebuano, in order for the people to be able to understand. Early this morning, I went to one of our biggest barangays, distributed vitamin C, and also assisted in the vaccination for our people. We need to foster data-driven monitoring to track progress and adjust to the needs and demands. We could have not done it without the support of private sector friends such as Michael Palomares and Alvin Hung of Yakult. Technologies can ease the burden of communities and individuals, so local chief executives must learn to embrace these tools and even our city health personnel. Finally, we need to maximize partnerships across all sectors and maintain transparency and accountability. To date, Zamboanga City is in alert level 2 with the easing of restrictions for fully vaccinated individuals. With the pediatric vaccinations, we're also happy to note that our children are now able to access open spaces, playgrounds, and parks, plus our Christmas winter wonderland to honor Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. I have with me my vaccination card that we have, and beside it are the lists of the vaccines that I've taken, my first and second doses of Sinovac. So I hope and pray that with the help of everyone, we will really be able to vax to the max. And thank you, Livable Cities, for giving us the opportunity to share our experience and challenges in Zamboanga City. As we near the Pascua de Navidad, we'd like to greet you all a very safe Feliz Navidad y un año bondadoso, año 2022, na favor de Dios. Desde aquí, na Ciudad de Zamboanga, si Alcalde Ben Climaco, yo tama con Dios y yo tama con el Beatong Ciudad de Zamboanga y el Filipinas. Vaya con Dios y muchísimas gracias. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Beng. Wonderful. Another great sharing from Mayor Beng from Zamboanga. So really great stuff. I'd like to call back everybody to on stage. We're gonna kick off our Q&A session. So we have Sir Bill here, Mayor Lino, Dr. Beverly. Yes. Great. Good. So Dr. Beverly, if you could join us back on stage, and Diane, good. Turn on the video. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Before we kick off, there's quite a number of good questions in the Q&A. We'll snap lang a picture, no. So if you could just look at your camera and smile for a second or two. Smile. Okay, good. I hope si Direct got that our class picture this afternoon. So thank you, everybody. There's lots of questions in the Q&A chat box. I'm going to just review a question that was addressed to Dr. Beverly, no, and then she answered this on chat, no, but it's a good question we need to bring up here. Eh. This is something to do with the with vaccine hesitancy. Let me see. Ayan. So this is from Joel Adriano. He says that hesitancy, parang there is vaccine hesitancy, so really just being hesitant to just the vaccine, or may hesitancy to certain vaccines, no? So those are two different things. So is there how is the DOH trying to address this? And I know Dr. Beverly answered this, but maybe we can just take it up for others to understand, no, how that's being done, addressed.
Thank you. First of all, I'm very honored to be in this panel. I'm fangirling over our local chief executives. Thank you for sharing your experiences po. At least for both Res Bakuna and Ingat Angat, we've agreed no, in our communication architecture that we will adopt a brand agnostic strategy. It will put us parang in a better position to show people that we are fair about all the vaccine brands. After all, any brand that gets an EUA is actually safe and effective. No? So that's really our position. So actually, whether or not parang actually CISO, you know, in the beginning, people were like against brand X. Then after a while, they actually like brand X. So in the end, parang the strategy worked for us. No, parang we didn't have to defend a single brand. Obviously, when it happens on the ground, when the rubber hits the road, it's really a lot of interpersonal communication and community level communication that works best. No, parang it's really them who know their communities quite well. So parang we don't also claim from the national level na we can address everything. So that's why we provide mostly tools, no, messages, materials to our partner CSOs and even our local governments. And parang they all have different strategies to combat it.
Good. I see a lot of nodding heads here, lalo na si Mayor Lino. No? Mayor Lino, how, lalo na, of course, I want to ask you, Mayor Beng, no? Because Mayor Beng mentioned that, multicultural, your constituents are multicultural, spread around also different parts of and types of communities. No? By the way, we have Dr. Roland Fortuna representing Mayor Jerry from Iloilo City. So how does that vaccine hesitancy or specific vaccine hesitancy, how's that being overcome? Baka you can share some experiences on that. Mayor Beng, how about you? Perhaps you can go first.
Yeah, well, I'll take the floor. My dear Mayor Lino, he's the mayor of our place. So we are really multicultural. In fact, we have 8 island barangays. I have assisted in the vaccination of people from Basilan and Tawi-Tawi that have come over to SM, to KCC, our malls here, and even the children. We overcame this because we really reached out to our religious leaders. We've selected the different church groups, the Muslim communities, have them vaccinated, gave them whatever vaccines were available to them, and it also bankrolled in a way to the different members of their community. So different denominations will reach out to them. But I think one incentive that really helped not only Zamboanga City, but even Region 9 was our vaccination card. We have learned that if you are fully vaccinated, through the support of the private sector, we get the vaccination incentives. The incentive is for them to go out, and because of that, they want to come over to Zamboanga City. A lot of them had themselves vaccinated. And I was saying it's very true. People thought that they would turn into zombies. We think this is ridiculous, but this tale has really prevented us from reaching out to people and convincing them. But what made the difference was the protection that we showed to them, the opportunity for them to be able to go out if you're fully vaccinated. And it has helped our island communities and barangays, Christians, indigenous peoples, and Muslims alike.
Amazing. That's really quite a challenge, no, in your part of the Philippines, being multicultural. How about you, Mayor Lino, and of course, no, Dr. Dr. Fortuna, how did these things work out for you? You know, trying to get more people, nudge them more, no, into vaccination.
It's
I start with
it's so
you.
nice to listen to Mayor Beng. No, truly,
Yeah.
I think Doc Bev can also attest to this. Hi, ma'am. Hi, Doc. Good to see you, po, Doc Bev. We really learn so much from each other, and really every LGU um, poses a unique challenge, and sometimes something that I thought wouldn't work here, I've picked up by talking to some of my colleagues. Tingin ko
Really?
ano
Yeah.
there's sort of like a hierarchy in hesitancy, no? Yung una yung ayaw magpabakuna, those who don't want to be vaccinated. A strong second is those who are not motivated. They don't mind, but they're not motivated, no? They need kailangan ng ride, they need a ride, they need some incentives. And then what Mayor Beng mentioned, I think is one of the best things that the national government and the private sector did. I know Bill and his colleagues played a big part in this, but yung incentivizing, if you live near a city center, if you want to get into SM, if you want to get into Jollibee and McDo, and you need that vax card, you're gonna get vaccinated. So I think malaking bagay yun yung incentive. Then pangatlo pa lang yung brand preference. But usually when they're there, Mayor Beng's correct, no? Or I think Ma'am Dr. Bev said, ano na lang yun konti na lang yun, because it means you want to get vaccinated. So when it comes to that, our community leaders take over. If they really don't want to, then we just call them up the next time when the vaccine they want is there. But it really takes a lot of community intervention. You can't do it from the top. Like we're a city of 800,000. How will I tell someone the brand that they prefer or that their doctor prefers is there? So we really needed community leaders. But that's really a small percentage. Once we get people motivated to get vaccinated, brand preference becomes minor already at that point.
Okay, great insights there, Mayor Lino. How about Dr. Fortuna? How did this pan out in Iloilo?
Yeah, for Iloilo City, initially during the start of the rollout, there was really some hesitancy. So what we did was we interviewed those experts. We have infectious disease specialists, pulmonologists who are being interviewed for the role of vaccine, what it can give or the benefits it can give to the person. And after that, we also did all walks of interview citizens.
I think we're losing Dr. Roland Fortuna. Okay, we'll come back to you, Dr. Roland. Ayan, sige, can you please? Oh no, I think we're losing si Dr. Fortuna. But sige, we'll come back to you, Doc. Ano? Another interesting comment here, and this was addressed to you, Dr. Bev, no? Yung low rates of willingness to get the job in Mindanao, in Visayas, in the farthest areas, no, because of the access to the internet. So what are we doing in this regard? I think that's really quite a relevant comment. No? So again, I'd like to bring this out to the panel. Can you tell us how we're reaching out to the far-flung places that really don't have that connectivity, no, of big cities?
Yes, as we mentioned po kanina in our presentation, we do above the line and below the line initiatives, no, and community engagement activities. And it's really recognizing that while social media is important and things go viral, you also need to know what people's credible information sources are. And going into the vaccination campaign, the data was really showing us that they believe in first the health authority, second in healthcare workers or healthcare professionals that they are familiar with, and then third are local leaders, no? And in particular, parang even their barangay leaders nga are really their more trusted people, especially after the pandemic, diba? Kasi yun yung talagang managing their VHERTs, etc. So we know that going into this campaign, and that's why one of the earliest interventions that we did were really to do town halls among these influential people. Because we know that it
Face to
wasn't
face.
about, and it wasn't about the DOH speaking. It was partly it was DOH, but more importantly, it was people who are close to them, who they already trust. So it's about arming these people, these groups with information that can be passed on. Para naman we all say the same things, diba? So actually, the effort is really largely with our local chief executives and our partners on the ground. Sila po talaga yung trumabaho dito. We can do the social media cards. It's actually the easier things to do. Pero yung mahirap is actually on the ground community mobilization. And that's what our PHWs, our HEPOs, our community leaders, and even our NGOs are doing po. So very clear naman po yun sa atin since the very beginning.
I think, in fact, our Iloilo on the ground focal person is Dr. Fortuna. He's back on the panel with us. So, Doc, can you please continue what you're saying about how? You're disconnected. And can you please continue what you're saying?
Yeah, for the initial rollout, we really had some hesitancy. So we had experts talk about the benefits of vaccine. Aside from the medical experts, we did interview the people from all walks of life. We have from the senior citizens, we have nanays, and we have mothers and fathers who were able to get their vaccine, talk about what they have experienced during their vaccination. So kahit na yung mga simpleng manggagawa, in-interview rin namin. So we can focus on the all walks of life. At least they can share their experiences. And later on, I think with the emergence of those of the variants, the Delta variants, marami ring natakot and tumaas yung vaccination coverage ng CP. Also, the CP, kinuha rin namin yung what's the main reason why others are not going to the vaccination site. And one is the accessibility. There are those who could not go to the vaccination sites. That's why during that time, we're transporting the vaccinees from the point of from their area going to the vaccination site. And right now, we're reaching out to the barangay. With the help of the epimetrics, we're able to identify barangays with low coverage of vaccination, and we're targeting them. And currently, we have 9 district health centers, and these 9 district health centers are doing vaccination at the health centers right now. And there are also others who, those are bedridden who are not able to go to the vaccination site. We're able to vaccinate them. We're doing home services for those bedriddens. And those family we include those families ng mga bedriddens na hindi pa vaccinated. Sinasama na rin namin. Sabay na. And also we talk with the business sectors. Aside from the home services and door-to-door, we're doing door-to-door vaccination sa mga small businesses. Pinapasok namin yung mga empleyado nila who are not able to have their vaccine. Kasi yung iba hindi makalabas ng opisina. Pag lumabas ka, no work, no pay. So yun yung kina-target namin. So this help siguro na-achieve ng CP currently at around 118% na fully vaccinated yung CP.
118%.
That's for DOH data. Kasi for the DOH data, it's the 70% of the population of the city. Population is around 450,000. However, the city has a different target. Our target increased from 70% when the Delta variant emerges. We increased the target to 80%. Plus the 80%, we also included 100,000 those working in the city, even though you are not residing in the city. So yun yung nagiging target kasi medyo mataas yung target namin. It's around 525,000. Based on the target, we're only around 70% fully vaccinated on the target.
Great. Thank you. Thanks for that update. Ang galing din. 118% vaccination rate already. That's really good. Mayor Lino, there's a comment. You want to add something to that?
I just wanted to share na yung last mile that's present also in many of our urban areas. Like it's not only in areas that are hard to reach, but even in our city, we've found out that ang dami talagang mga lugar at marami pa tayong mga kababayan na ayaw pa magpabakuna. And I think something na when you look at, I don't know, the science behind this, Doc Bev, no? But in Taguig, since the beginning, around 50,000 Taguigeños got COVID. That's 6%. So imagine 2 years, but only 6% got COVID. But even if our vaccination rate is tremendous, there's still 18% that's not vaccinated, including children. So what I mean is there's still a large population that is not vaccinated. And this is where we had to be creative in finding them. So number one is contact tracing. When someone is positive, we looked at all their contacts and then we started to log who was not vaccinated. We don't engage them immediately. A few days after, may kakatok sa kanila, magbibigay ng gamot, mag-o-offer ng counsel, and then i-convince magpabakuna. Another thing is yung establishments namin that people visit, or when we have events, we check vaccination status, even if it is outdoor, just to see who's not vaccinated. And what we've done now is all our we've moved from mega centers to health centers. Our health centers now does vaccination. And iba yung joy when I see the numbers. Dati ano kami 5,000, 8,000. Ngayon when I see our health center vaccination and I see 34, 22, it makes me even happier because that's the last mile. So we realize that there's still a significant amount, and especially if they're concentrated in one area. So let's say there's one urban poor area na may mythology talaga doon ng zombies. You really need to get in and you really need to understand what's going on kasi yun yung particular area na magkakaroon ng outbreak. So the last mile is present even in cities. And I think that's the key now to be able to look for that. And I think when you look at your businesses, you'll find there might be there's some groups, no, or some groups of people or some industries na merong mga sector. I think we really need to engage them aggressively, especially now that we're really just hitting the last mile of vaccination.
But Mayor Lino, how do you work naman with lots of corporations are headquartered in your city, no? So I understand the barangays because they're there, and you know the local leaders. Now, how do you do this naman with corporations? The last mile of corporations naman. How does that work?
It's we're quite blessed, no, that we have a good relationship with our stakeholders here. As early as February, when we heard the news of COVID possibly coming in. So it came into Taguig March 7. The first case was, I think, early March in the country. February, we've already been talking to the stakeholders. These are Ayala, SM, Mega World, Vista Mall. So we already established a network that this might happen. Something might come. So throughout the next few weeks and next few months, we started going down until what I mentioned earlier. We had designated safety officers. So each company, no matter how big or how small, would now have a specific point person. And that has helped us tremendously. Imagine a company like Globe. Instead of 10,000 individual applications, you just have someone with an Excel that has 10,000 names. And then instead of 1,000 different bookings, we've had one vaccination hub na buong araw, 4 lang yung booking for companies. So it's a group of 500 to 800 people coming in. So it helped us tremendously. It helped our system, less paperwork to process. And then we had their own champions. Our own teams didn't have to manage it because a lot of these companies, they help take care of transportation. When they're there, they also had the liaison officers who were shepherding their staff. Some of them were there from morning till night. I can't explain how important that was, how that accelerated vaccination, and how that will be key even in boosters. So like you said, the last mile. Right now, it's communicating to our stakeholders na kung may bago kayong empleyado ha, kung meron kayong newly hire, pabakunahan natin kagad. Because there are a lot of companies now who are rehiring. And then ngayon sa boosters, it's also creating that channel so that it's easy for them to understand that yung booster automatic yan basta 6 months ha. So it is, yes, it is yung use ng technology because anyone can just go online and schedule. But it's also creating that that path, creating that network na I think
Mm.
we've established now. One designated safety officer per business, and it's really expanded our capabilities. So right now, we're not 1,600 strong. We're 10,000 strong because these safety officers have been extensions of the city of Taguig.
Correct.
So
Yeah,
it's
that's
more
really good.
work also because they have more questions, more people asking us questions. But
Mhm.
in the long run, no, it's helped us expand and explain to more people through
Mm.
passing through them.
Great. Doc Bev, there's a question. I can't see it now, but tinatanong the effectiveness of our current vaccines versus Omicron. Omicron. So can you update us on that?
We don't have data on it yet.
Okay.
Apologies.
Okay, good. So we can watch that space, or maybe we can wait for it to come out in the different websites and Viber groups of Taguig and the other cities, no, as it becomes updated. Good. Uh, there's a comment here. This is one of your big fans, Mayor Lino. No? Taguig City vaccination rollout success story is a good and holistic model. It triggers multi-sectoral collaboration of pandemic vaccination governance. If you can put into a template or mainstream structure for the rest of the country to follow, is that possible? No.
Thank
So
you, but I think that's giving us too much credit. We applied, the Department of Health was here probably every other day during the first few months. So we really were just open to close collaboration with the Department of Health and the private sector. AC Health and the City of Taguig has a intimate relationship when it comes to vaccine rollout, as well as St. Luke. So we've continuously learned from each other. And like I said earlier, in mobilization, it's easier to talk to one HR head than to talk to 10,000 people. So really the partnership with the private sector has been so valuable. But thank you for the compliment. Thank you po.
correct. You mentioned partnership, Mayor Lino, and I've heard this also from Mayor Jerry, also from Mayor Beng, no, partnership. Can you tell us more on how there's public-private partnership, there's business, Ilonggo artists, LGBTQ partnership, so lots of all forms of partnerships, no? So can you tell us how this enabled, no, the success of the vaccination programs, and especially fighting hesitancy and getting through to the last mile? Maybe we can ask Mayor Beng and see Doc Roland Fortuna to mention a few pointers on that we can share to the other LGUs.
Well, I think first of all, we are very, very thankful to God for our vaccination team. Mayor Lino mentioned the numbers earlier. I'd like to also say the numbers of Zamboanga from 3,000 to 5,000, 19,000 to 35,000. We could not believe that we could be able to vaccinate these numbers in a single day. So our vaccination team down to the barangay is very important. And in terms of participation from the private sector, we're very thankful that the different educational institutions supported us. Ateneo de Zamboanga, Chonghua School, Western Mindanao State University, the School of Allied Medicine, the nurses, doctors, pediatricians all volunteered. Our malls also volunteered. And the situation of Zamboanga City is such that we have 8 island barangays. Can you imagine the vaccinators taking a pump boat just to vaccinate these island communities with the help of our task force, the Army, the Marines, as well as the Bureau of Fire. So this is really a synergy and partnership of government and private sector. And I was very inspired that on the November 30th, it was a holiday, our co-workers in the city government were volunteering for data management. And I really believe in the Filipino spirit that when we call on them, they are there to help with all their dedication and all their smiles. And this is really a testament to all of us that the Filipino can make it resilient.
Great. Wonderful. Galing. You just mentioned a great thing, their dedication and smiles. So imagine
Yes.
that. Thank you for that, Mayor Beng. Doc Fortuna?
Yes, for Iloilo City, I guess maintaining 9 mega sites is kailangan talaga ng maraming human resource. So we're able to partner with the various medical societies here in Iloilo City. They were able to volunteer. We have the PPS, we have even the PCP, PSGS, and all societies na nagvo-volunteer sa vaccination sites. Also, we're able to partner with one transport group. They were able to transport kasi reaching more than 100% na yung fully vaccinated ng city. We allocated initially 1 day and later on 2 days vaccinating those outside ng Iloilo City. We're catering to nearby provinces. So to gain for them easy access, we're able to partner with a transport group, and they're offering free transportation from nearby provinces going to their vaccination sites. So sabihin lang nila na mapavaccinate, libre na yung pamasahe nila going to the vaccination sites. Also, there are major big companies who are able to procure their own vaccine. And because the problem initially was the storage of the vaccine, these big companies were able also to procure their own storage unit. And after their vaccination, they were able to lend the city those ultra low freezers and those can cater to -20. So partnership with the private sector is really a big help in achieving our goal of having a herd immunity in the city of Iloilo.
Great examples there. Thank you, Doc, and thank you, Dr. Bev, and Mayors Lino and Mayor Beng for joining us today and sharing such great examples and success stories, about the vaccination programs in the different parts of the country. So we congratulate everybody who's working with you on this and bringing their expertise and dedication and their smile, to the effort. Maraming salamat for all of that. So we'd like to draw our panel discussion to a close. But to close the webinar, I'd like to call on Bill to close our session. So Bill.
Thank you, Sui. First of all, I cannot thank our speakers enough. Doc Bev, Mayor Bang, Mayor Lino, Dr. Fortuna, Mayor Jerry, thanks so much for coming out to speak today. One of the things that we have been so lucky and blessed to have at the Livable Cities Labs are such good speakers who have direct hands-on experience and tell us what it's like down on the ground level so that other people from the country can learn. And what I think we've seen in this particular panel today is that, one, the mayors have been extremely creative in how they solve the problems. Every time they came up against an obstacle, they, pivot and solve the problem and work with other people and find a solution. That is clearly, apparent with our mayors. Second is that they're extremely hands-on. Okay, on a daily basis, they are really working all the details, all the operational details. The third, one of my favorites, is that they are super data driven. They take a look at their data. They're such data nerds. They look at their data every day, and it helps them move forward and plan. But what I also like is that they're so extremely helpful that they're not only successful vaccinating people in their own city, but they vaccinate people outside their city. So as Mayor Bang said, they're vaccinating people from Tawi-Tawi, from Basilan, who are coming all the way to Zamboanga. I know in the case of Mayor Lino, he's always stretching out beyond the gig and actually sending people outside. And NCR is like this. They have sent teams to other cities outside of NCR to vaccinate people. And so I like that people don't only go to their city, but they send teams out. And in the case of Mayor Jerry, vaccinating not only Iloilo City, but the neighboring cities, and then to work with a bus company to offer free rides from anywhere else on Panay to come in all the way to Iloilo to be vaccinated. I think that's just such a stroke of genius to be able to put this all together. And I can't thank the mayors enough for coming out today to speak. So thank you. And I must say, really enjoyed this session. Now, before I close, I want to announce to the audience, we do have one more lab, December 15th. And we're going to be focusing on universal healthcare. Now, this is important because as we get beyond this pandemic, we need to be really thinking about universal healthcare and its implementation. And cities play a major role here because with the Mandanas ruling, they're going to have greater responsibility as well placed on cities. And cities will have a greater hand in how they will implement this. So we look forward to having you join us at our next lab on healthy cities, better health for all. Before we close, I'd like to invite all those who attended to answer the event evaluation form. So if you're on Zoom, the form will appear as soon as you exit. And if you're on Facebook, you can take a picture of the QR code and you will get that evaluation form. Feedback is important to us, and you'll also be able to get your certificate of participation when you answer the survey. I'd like to finally thank our partners here in the Livable Cities Lab. We have the British Embassy Manila, together with the League of Cities and Globe Telecom as partners for today's lab, and I'd like to thank them also. And then finally, this one, Doc Bev, our special gift to you. We are going to play the Globe anti-fake news videos. And please, for the mayors, please feel free to get the link and use the videos wherever you want to use the videos. So let's roll the videos, Globe team. And thanks very much again, Mayor Lino, Mayor Beng, Doc Bev, Dr. Fortuna, Mayor Jerry. Thank you.
Ngayong laganap ang linlangan.
Tapat at totoo ang ipaglalaban.
Magiging mapanuri sa mga nakikita.
Tungkol sa bakuna.
Hindi hahayaang maloko basta-basta.
Ang pagpanig sa tama at wasto.
Isa-isip.
Isagawa.
At isa puso.
Para ligtas ang bawat Pilipino.